recently this market did go on a slight, nice little move to the upside. And a lot of altcoins, like for an example, XLM, have yet to really create a higher high structure on the chart, which is exactly what we want to see so that we could flip bullish on the price chart. Now, are we extremely bearish on XLM right now? Not exactly, right? This is what we are currently trading within, which is just a slight downtrend. It's a descending wedge essentially, and I'm not too concerned at all with this. This downtrend will eventually be broken. And the main thing that we're looking at now and really watching is for these recent lows to hold. So I'm hoping that we don't see like 35 cents get retested here. If we are going to retest a low, or if we're going to have a slight pullback, I would like for it to be a little, a little bit more shallow than some of these recent moves on this chart. So the main thing that I'm looking at here is possibly even a wick to about roughly 36 cents. Or if we do wick back to like some of these levels going back to like March of this year, then that would also be pretty cool to see as well, which would be around like 37.5 cents. Now, the reason why I do think that we could potentially have a shallow wick to the downside before we get that big push to the upside is because of volatility in the market. Now, there's definitely a possibility that we just completely shut out the idea of a higher low and we do wick back down into this trend line, which would be a 33-cent XLM. That's definitely possible, but I'm also watching indicators, right? Which is the RSI on the bottom there. I would love for us to flip that moving average. It would be the first time that we did flip the moving average since going all the way back to July of this year. And we all know what happened back in July, as you guys can see on the chart. And after we flip the moving average to really confirm a much larger breakout here on the chart, I would like for us to break above 56.48 on the RSI, which would be the midline break. And it would also be flipping that level since going all the way back to July of this year, the end of July. And then also it would be breaking over the resistance that we hit back in May. This acted as resistance. So this would be a big signal that XLM is going to break out higher and create a higher high structure on this chart, which the main high that we're looking at right now is these highs going back to August, which would be around like 47 cents. And then we should be targeting that July high around almost 52 cents on XLM. Now that could definitely happen, and we could start to see some pretty big moves, especially going into tomorrow, because tomorrow is a very, very big day for the entire crypto market, but it's also an even bigger day for XLM. Because number one, we do have the Fed FOMC meeting, right? This is going to be a big one. We finally get an update on interest rates. And if we're thinking about this, right, this could definitely impact the market in a very, very large way. There is a 100% chance of a rate cut happening tomorrow. And if we do see that, then the market is going to have, a slight pullback, potentially some volatility, and then it's going to cause the market to bounce in a big way. And we should start to create some higher highs, some higher lows, and pretty much confirming bullish structure on most of the charts. Now, during this time as well, same day, we have Meridian 2025, the biggest stellar event of the year. And this is going to be a 2-day, event, the 17th and also the 18th. But yeah, I'm very, very excited about this because it perfectly lined up with the FOMC meeting, and it perfectly lines up with the market potentially having a much larger bounce as well. This is why I do think that this chart could soon have a big breakout, and we could start to see some of these recent highs getting retested. Now, we have to be a little bit more patient. We need to watch and see what happens, especially tomorrow. But I'm just excited to hear a lot about what's happening with Stellar and the plans going forward with Stellar as well from this event. And we also did hear from Danielle Dixon regarding this event. They're rolling out the blueprint and rolling up our sleeves. The things we've talked about for years, like real world asset tokenization and cross-border payments, aren't hypotheticals. This Meridian, we're using the blueprint to build the future of finance. See you all soon. And yeah, listen, a lot of the things that we've talked about with a lot of these utility-based projects is happening now, right? Stablecoin adoption, tokenization. We're starting to see big banks and even governments now tapping in. We're starting to hear from some very prominent names that are telling us, hey, you know, crypto is the real deal. We want to tap into this. We want to utilize this. And that's coming from organizations like the DTCC. Even Swift is now talking about tapping into this technology. We've also, I mean, we have asset management companies that are larger than this entire space's market cap. BlackRock, 10 trillion assets under management. They're here. They are telling us that everything will be tokenized. They have ETFs based around crypto, and now they also want to tokenize the ETFs. So if we're thinking about what's happening here, it's kind of crazy, but everything that we've talked about for years is now becoming a reality. And we love to see this, especially with projects like Stellar that have really been prepared for this since day one. Now, on top of this, let's talk about a few things happening around Stellar. Number one, talking about tokenization, here are crypto's top real-world assets by development. Directional indicators represent each project's ranking rise or fall since last month. Now, Stellar is number 2, above Avalanche, Hedera, Ondo, VeChain, Algorand, Sky Ecosystem, and also, by the way, Sky Ecosystem is Sky, and then we also have Maker from the same ecosystem, and then we also have Injective. So if we're thinking about this, right, there is some very large projects here that we are rivaling here in terms of development activity. It shows you how active the Stellar ecosystem is, how active the developer side of Stellar is, and it also kind of puts a little bit of a spotlight on the fact that we're starting to see some pretty big moves happening here. I wonder what's being built. I wonder what's going to be announced at this year's Meridian. I'm very excited about this because I do think that this development activity is leading to something pretty big getting built. So I'm definitely going to be locked in on that. And then also talking about tokenization, guys, last 30 days, Stellar's RWA value on chain is up 10+%, $533 million. Stablecoin holders also up 2+%, 545,000. Stablecoin market cap kind of just sitting stable. I mean, it's down about almost 9%. But beyond that, tokenization RWA value, I mean, we love to see this. And by the way, we've been seeing more and more RWA assets getting added to some of these networks. The ecosystem around Stellar is now completely stacked. We could see it here. I mean, we just love to see this. This is incredible. And by the way, one of the biggest players here, Wisdom Tree. We're going to talk about Wisdom Tree here in a moment, but just looking at this value moving on chain, combined with some of these recent announcements from Stellar, like this one, tells us that this value is only going to continue to grow. We have big news. Trade on 21X on Stellar means financial institutions can list and trade tokenized securities on a regulated secondary market venue in the European Union. Wow. We are witnessing the ecosystem, not just around Stellar, but even around the tokenization ecosystem within the Stellar ecosystem, also expanding. This is a big deal. This is also a crucial piece for those tokenized assets. This is providing a market for those tokenized assets to be traded. This could lead to so many different use cases. I've always talked about lending and borrowing as well. These types of markets are so crucial for that. But yeah, I think that this is great. Just looking at the announcement real quick, we have here that 21X, Europe's first fully regulated distributed ledger technology-based trading and settlement system, today announced the launch of 21X on the Stellar network as part of its multi-chain expansion. Now, this collaboration was formally announced at Fireblock's Spark 25 in Barcelona, an event which brought together leading financial institutions and technology partners, underscoring the growing momentum behind institutional adoption of on-chain finance. This strategic collaboration will enable financial institutions to list and trade tokenized securities on Stellar for the first time on a regulated secondary market venue in the European Union. And then also down here, we do have this expansion marks the official launch of 21X's multi-chain strategy, positioning the company as a technology-agnostic market infrastructure provider. With its unique EU DLT regime license, 21X is authorized to operate across multiple public blockchains, meeting the diverse needs of the institutional market as well. So, again, This is incredible, and the platform will be available to investors by the end of this year. And I'm just very excited about these types of expansions because, again, we know that tokenization is going to be huge, but without pieces like this, it doesn't matter, right? Like, yeah, sure, we could bring all this tokenized value on chain, but if we don't have markets to trade those tokenized RWAs on, it doesn't matter, right? Like these things do not just we don't want to just bring value that's going to sit on chains and that's it. No, we want to watch this value get moved. We want to see it, be traded. We want to see it be lent and borrowed against. So again, these markets enable that. So love to see this. This is an incredible announcement. And then also, we just witnessed this. A $1 trillion plus asset class is starting to move on chain. Wisdom Tree just launched Credit, a tokenized private credit plus alt income fund built on Stellar and Ethereum. Now, we go back over here to the tokenized RWA space on Stellar. Let's go to platforms, right? Here we have Wisdom Tree. This is the credit, right? Ticker credit. There's only 6.6K in terms of the value tied to this. However, if we're going to this, there's only $1.3 million on chain currently. Yes, most of this is on Ethereum initially, but the main thing that I'm focused on with this is how much value this is going to lead, to moving on chain. And if we go over here to the announcement, we have Wisdom Tree brings private credit on chain with the launch of tokenized Wisdom Tree private credit and alternative income digital fund token credit. Now, within this, we have credit unlocks access to one of the most coveted asset classes alternatives directly on chain. By expanding the breadth of our tokenized funds, we're giving crypto native investors a chance to diversify via exposures that were once reserved for institutions, all within the digital ecosystem. And then also with Wisdom Tree Prime and Wisdom Tree Connect, we've taken on-chain investing to the next level, expanding the range of funds available so that users can build more diversified portfolios on-chain without sacrificing the regulatory rigor of traditional finance. Private credit has become one of the most talked about opportunities in today's markets. For years, we've been proud to make this space more accessible to the individual investor through our ETF, and now credit is able to deliver yield potential in modern tokenized fund. So again, this is incredible to see, and this is a $1 trillion opportunity moving on chain with, of course, Stellar being tapped in. And it makes